Ravens just came off a 24-0 victory against Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals on the road, 24-0. To say I was shocked is an understatement. I came on here. I'm going to own what I said last week. I said right here on the show that I didn't think the Ravens would win another game this season based on just the critical weaknesses that I saw in this team that ultimately would not allow this team to win anymore. But defense played lights out. If you were going to tell me going into this game that Joe Burrow in this offense with Jamar Chase, even though T. Higgins wasn't there, still got Chase Brown, still got Gesicki, still got Yoshivash. If you were going to come in here and tell me that this Ravens defense was going to hold that offense to 0 points, I'd have looked at you like you were crazy, because this is Joe Burrow we're talking about. This is Jamar Chase we're talking about. These guys put up 40 points in a football game basically in their sleep, it feels like. The X factor for me was Tavius Robinson coming back from IR. Had a foot injury that kept him out most of the season, but his impact was immediately felt. He came back. He added some juice to this Ravens pass rush that has lacked that sorely, even with the addition of Draymond Jones. And I think really that kind of told the story of the game, because Joe Burrow never looked comfortable. The defense really got in his face, and they created 2 turnovers, 2 interceptions. Although very uncharacteristic of Joe Burrow, like some of the interceptions that I saw were very uncharacteristic. One of them, he missed Jamar Chase pretty high. You never see him do that. That was an easy interception from Marlon Humphrey. And then the second one, just some pressure in his face, and he kind of just tosses it right to Kyle Van Noy, who ends up pitching it to Alohi Gilman for a pick 6. Again, very uncharacteristic of Joe Burrow. I recognize this, but I have to give a lot of props to Zach Orton's defense for putting together a very good game plan, even though Jamar Chase still got his, but they didn't allow the others to really hurt them as well. So pretty decent job. And again, you held this offense to 0 points. You picked off Joe Burrow twice, and the pass rush looked a whole lot better. Tavius Robinson, again, I think he's the guy that if this Ravens team is going to have a chance to make the playoffs, I think he will be a big X factor and having something to say, especially on the defensive side of the ball. I still worry about the offensive line, particularly the interior. If you guys are watching the game, again, 77, Falele, there's times where he's just standing there and he's not blocking anybody. That's very, very concerning. I mean, you can look at the tape, you don't believe me. There's a play where this guy is just standing here looking around, waiting for someone to block, and Lamar's under pressure trying to get out of there. I thought Lamar looked a lot more like himself. Now, do I think he's still 100%? No, absolutely not. But it was very encouraging to see him actually take off a couple of times when pressure got to him, when the pocket collapsed, and he got out of there and got a couple of first downs. Really had some great throws, a dime to Zay Flowers for that first touchdown he caught. Threw another pass that was a little high for Zay. I thought Zay still could have pulled that in. And then, of course, the interception, the ball is going to Zay Flowers' hands. What I can see is that the ball was in Zay Flowers' hands. As a quarterback, I imagine that's where you want to put the ball. But unfortunately, it bounced off his hands and landed into the other team. But big story again, Derrick Henry getting over 100 yards. That is the key for the Ravens to have some success and have a chance to take the division and get into the playoffs. They have to run the football. They have to be effective. And again, if Tavius Robinson can help this pass rush be just a little bit effective at times, not allowing quarterbacks to just sit back there and scan the field twice before making a decision while being comfortable. If the Ravens pass rush has the ability to at least make the quarterback a little bit uncomfortable, I believe that they will have a good chance to make it. It was a good sign. I still have my concerns that I talked about last week, but this is a great sign, from what I've seen, especially with the defense holding this offense to 0 points.